نستماسل الله ولاتني وتوت بجوي زاد عرفلو مسلا زي حلو مسلم تحلو مسلم تحلو مسلا زي حلو مسلم تحلو زعد فلو مسلا زي حلو مسلم تحلو مسلم تحلو عدلاتني عد مسكنايتي زيت مسقنلو تخفلو مسوعتي أنا اللطعمة بحقي كنقس وشتاي تسألو يرى أندلو صباح زبرغ بالسرات هالو عدي عد خلو عدي عد تسفى عدي عد خلو عدي بسمع ليلو عدلاتني زيري
Earlier I spoke to Alex Duval, who has produced a significant report, Starving Tigray, for the World Peace Organization. I began by asking him and putting it to him that history was repeating itself in Ethiopia.
Indeed. I mean, for many of us, the Great Famine of 1984-85 was a pivotal moment, and also a moment of shame because the world was not prepared to acknowledge a famine until those terrible pictures of starving children were actually on the nightly news. And over the last years, so much has been done to prevent this sort of thing from happening again. We have famine early warning systems. And now what we're seeing is the deliberate use of starvation as a weapon of war.
Well, how do we respond?
Well, the most immediate response is the humanitarian response. The next thing is a ceasefire. And then we need to expose what is happening. We need to really document this crime because it is a starvation crime.
But how do you locate who is driving this? I mean, are their names known?
The most egregious violator here is the government of Eritrea. Its troops are all over Tigray. They are systematically ransacking and looting down to the smallest things. In the town of Adwa, we have eyewitnesses who describe how they destroyed a factory. And soldiers went along the main streets, not only breaking open shops, but even breaking open those little boxes that shoe shine boys, where they have their cloths and their polish and their brushes, down to that granularity of an attempt to grind people down to utter poverty.
But Eritrea is a country that went through war itself and suffered grievously in that period, and yet now is visiting it on people in Tigray. I mean, what does this say of these people, and what does it say of the United Nations that they've not called them to account?
Well, it is a deep tragedy of Eritrea that the ideals of those who struggled and fought and suffered so much for liberation have seen their hopes and dreams disappointed by the dictatorship of Isaias Afwerki. And similarly, in Ethiopia, we see the hopes of combining the progress of the developmental state over the last 30 years, reducing hunger. We have seen those also reduced to ashes.
Who is taking a lead on trying to do something about this?
Sadly, the African Union has failed dismally, and Ireland brought the issue to the UN Security Council, but it was blocked there. The Russians and Chinese threatened to veto, and the Africans did not stand up.
I think few of us ever expected to have to read a report such as the one you've compiled. The idea that starvation of masses of people is a weapon of war is surely the sickest testament to where we are in the 21st century.
It is a terribly dismal verdict on where we stand. And there have been attempts to raise the profile of this issue of starvation. The UN Security Council 3 years ago passed a resolution in which it said the use of hunger as a weapon of war may be a war crime. And yet the United Nations seems to be unable to act on its own resolution. And I think it is unspeakable if the international community is not able to act to stop this.
Alex Duval, I hate to end on a note which is still so uncertain as to what happens in the future, but thank you very much indeed for talking to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
ولاتني وتوت بجوي زاد عرفلو مسلا زي حلو مسلم تحلو مسلم تحلو مسلا زي حلو مسلم تحلو زعد فلو مسلا زي حلو مسلم تحلو مسلم تحلو عدلاتني عد مسكنايتي زيت مسقنلو تخفلو مسوعتي تخفلو مسوعتي بنا لطعما بحقي كنقس وشتاي تسألو يرى اندلو صباح زبرق بالسرات هالو عدي عد خلو عدي 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 عد